was enough to allow Brisker to get underneath in the lead. Second down and 5. And the ball's just laid on the throw. If he plants his foot and lets it. Intercepted by Brisker. Samuel was the target.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Bearskifilm. And tonight we have a special guest, Nick from Just Another Year, Chicago. So we're really happy to have Nick on with us. Apparently everybody's been having some internet issues across the board, so excuse us if that's the case here too, but we will do our best to carry out a show. Nick, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Great, guys. I mean, hey, 3-2, 3-game winning streak. We're looking hot. Caleb's looking great. Ben Johnson's bringing a new culture to Chicago. I'm on cloud 9, and I think the city is too. So just got to keep riding this wave as long as it goes.
Yeah, I think we're really hard to convince and to kind of sway based off the large sample size of history we have of heartbreak and just terrible losses and not coming through in the clutch in recent history. But I think even me and David are both looking at this going, well, wait a second here. You're doing it. You're doing things the right way. And I wanted to start the show by just bringing it up. 25-24. Same exact score in the last 2 games, right? But I'll be the first to tell you that Raiders win was kind of bullshit. Like, we got lucky. We were on that side of the coin that time. Usually we're not. But, you know, as far as, like, did we deserve it? You know, more games are lost than are won in the NFL. It's a Bill Parcells quote. I would say the Raiders lost that one. This Washington Commanders game, we deserve that damn W. Eye test will show you that was a full team effort, overcame all the obstacles. I mean, all the different things that used to be excuses. We have a backup kicker. The refs are against us. Some throws were overthrown. None of it mattered because you overcame all of it. No running game, can't stop the run. You found a way to win, and hopefully they continue to do that. So I don't know. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this game against the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a win's a win in my book, and the fact that they did it after the bye week where they're 1-10 since 2014. They did it in Washington where the Fail Mary happened last year. So there was, I mean, they showed that clip probably 1,000 times during the broadcast. And it was just like, all right, you beat a dead horse at this point. Time to wrap it up. But they've done a really good job at finding ways to win when it matters. You know, especially we've seen Bears teams just come out flat, no energy. The second they lose momentum, they're like, oh, we're done. That's it. I'm done here. I'm going home, getting my game check. No, this team wants to win. They don't want high draft picks anymore, even though you play the game to win, as we're always told. But that's been the Chicago Bears way for the last, 5 years, since 2020, the last time we were in the playoffs. And finally, we're seeing a team that is rallying around not only themselves, but the coach. And I said this on Roundtable Sports, another show I'm a part of not even a couple hours ago. But the thing about this Bears team is that they actually play as a team. It used to be everyone was on their individual agenda. Bears seemed more like a tryout team to get picked up elsewhere, to go to a contender as a depth piece. Not anymore. People are coming to Chicago to be a star. And that's the big difference right now that I just feel in this culture. And we saw that against the Commanders game. They didn't give up. You have a guy that gets called in to kick an hour before the game, and Jake Moody, who practically saved the day. People are just not giving up on themselves. DeAndre Swift had a really good game too. But the Bears are just finding ways to win, and that's all that matters to me at this point. And the fact that they were able to do it against a good Commanders team that played in the NFC Championship last year is even more impressive.
Dave, I know me and you go back and forth a lot, and you know, I'm a meathead too. You play to win the game because I've gone to those games at the end of the year, freezing cold when we only have 3-4 wins on the season. I've been there. And so in certain situations though, Dave has made some points that have swayed me to the other side. Like, yes, I'm much happier with the first overall pick and what that led to with DJ Moore and Caleb Williams and everything else down the line, rather than beating the Packers 3 years ago at the end of the season, right? So there are some situations that you can make a case for, but Dave, I don't know, man. What do you think of this win against the Commanders?
Man, I mean, I called you you called me like 5 minutes after the game, and I was pretty adamant. I think this is one of the biggest wins that this team has done in the last 5 years, I would say, if not the biggest win. I think in terms of just like moving the needle, culture shift, all the stuff that kind of Nick was alluding to in terms of like becoming a team. For me, that's like my favorite win in the last like few years, at least 4 to 5. A lot of the same things kind of aggravated me about that game, and the same with the other fans. Like, we I don't know how much you guys want to harp on refereeing and stuff like that. I just don't like when it impacts the game that heavily. I had a score prediction like 31-23. I think that game should have been 31-23. I think it was a much more handy win than I think the score dictates. I think it came down into one of those times where, like the Bears are just guilty of losing those games in the past and losing those games last year specifically. So I thought it was a much more impressive showing. It was definitely the needle mover for me personally, because I think we've all, if you would listen to me and Paulie, we're not necessarily pessimistic, but we try to be realistic before we can kind of jump on board any hype train that we haven't seen yet. So for us, for me personally, I thought this was one of the more complete games Caleb played. I think the stat line doesn't necessarily show it. I thought his actions were smooth. He came out of play action really well. He showed his back to the defense really well and kind of popped in and out and stepped up in the pocket, made good throws, accurate reads. I thought it was a complete game from him. It was a complete game from the line, which also, again, like to Nick's point, the team dynamic is really different. You throw in Theo Benedict in at left tackle, and like the team just kind of picks up the pieces, and you see a little bit more juice and energy. You don't see, you get like the backup quarterback extra juice, right? Like a team struggling, like the Jets put in a backup quarterback, they might win the next week because they get that little extra kick of motivation. You don't bench a mediocre left tackle, start a backup, and then everybody kind of shows that energy and all that stuff. So that was interesting to see. You got a lot of your defensive players back, which kind of, helped you out, stop the run game. I think the game plan went well. And you, Paulie, said it on last week's show, like it was going to be a show me game. It was going to say something. It was a statement game. And my biggest concern was I wanted to see what Ben Johnson does with 15 days, 4 games into a new season in his first year. And to me, I thought it was by far his best game of the season as a coach, as a coaching staff. And that was like really, really impressive to see. I think that the score doesn't necessarily reflect how well the Bears played. I think they played much better than that score dictates. And this is where you can rattle off some momentum, man. You want to get me on the hype train, win 3 out of 4, go 3-1 in the next 4, go 4-0, and I'll buy every jersey out there right now. So, I'm ready to hop on the hype train. Give me one dominant victory. Give me a 400-yard Caleb game with 3 touchdowns. Any one of these 4, and I'm all in. So that was my overall thought.
So, when I look at this thing, we did our preseason predictions. I had 6 wins on the year, right? I'm leaning a little bit more positive now. I'm saying, okay, maybe that was a little bit low. You might wind up with 7 or 8 wins or 9, but you really have to get to 10 in order to make the playoffs in this division, right? And so that's the ultimate goal. I think the path there has now just slowly started to open a little bit. It's possible that this team gets it together, goes on a run. This is the NFL. They are talented. And when it comes to coaching, we look at the game from, 100%, the one fan that knows us well, right? So when you look at this game compared to last year's game, you had Eberflus saying, those 13 yards don't matter, the 13 yards that set up the Hail Mary, versus this game, you did everything you needed to leave 0 seconds on the clock. And so that's where the coaching impact, I think, kind of comes in, where you're just you can trust Ben Johnson to not fuck it up a lot more than we've been able to trust some of the other coaches that have been here, right?
Oh, sorry. Was that a question?
No, yeah, I don't know. It was just somebody. I could keep rambling if you guys want.
couldn't have said it better. Is like just the coaching dynamic difference in the attention to detail and exactly what, Ben Johnson like walks into a press conference and he just knows everything about the team. Like when he said, we were 69% effective, had this many yards per throw, we had this many penalties. Like he just like he's like the Rain Man of knowing his team. Like he just knows everything about it. And Eberflus was like, yeah, no, things went great. The guys were really confident. And that was just like what we kept hearing. I'm like, Coach, I want to hear you break it down more. And I know you guys probably watched Hard Knocks last year. And when Caleb was in Eberflus's office talking to him, you could tell if there wasn't a camera on there, Caleb was not interested in being in that room because he didn't feel like he was talking to a coach. And there are some guys in this game that are just better off as coordinators, better off as assistants. That's Eberflus. It's not working out really well in Dallas, even though Jerry Jones is fully bought in on Matt Eberflus. But Ben Johnson, Caleb has gone from calling Ben. He went from early in the season, like, yeah, me and Ben. Now it's Coach Johnson. Like the respect is there because Caleb sees how he talks to the media, how he talks on a sideline, what Ben Johnson says to him. I mean, when he said at the end of that Raiders game, he's like, you were built for this moment. Like that's what players need, that jump at every level. When I was a kid playing Pee Wee football, like before I'd go on the field, my dad would be like, all right, you got this. Like Ben Johnson is doing the same thing to a man. Like he's doing it to a professional athlete. But guys are like, that is the encouragement. That's the confidence. That's the faith that I need from the coach. And just overall, just having that, the attention to detail, the belief, the confidence. I mean, Ben said it today during his presser. He was like, we are building something and we all trust each other in it. So that's the big difference for me. And that's why this culture is so much better than it was before.
Can I just remind you guys real quick? Just I have this ready here. So I didn't delete it for a reason because I knew I would want to play it again.
Players, it was good calling by the whoever this coordinator was, and that would be me.
Did you hear that? Let me just replay that really quickly. Let me just replay it.
It's good calling by the whoever this coordinator was, and that would be me. And
you stood up there all year and pointed a finger at the players on the execution. In the beginning of the year, I was with that. I was saying, yes, the players need to execute better. It seems like this guy is happier about having a good week of practice than the result of a game. And then to sit there and credit yourself like that. I mean, to whoever that coordinator was, by the way, that would be me. You got to be kidding me. When my jaw dropped, like, dude, you need to go. If you think that Yeah. I was just waiting for that. You need to go because that was the underlying theme. That was like a year before he actually went. Right? So, yeah, the writing was on the wall there. With Ben Johnson, that doesn't exist. I mean, I'm so confident in what that guy's doing. I feel like we finally have a real head coach. And with a real head coach comes real expectations and accountability, which isn't just a word. You actually hold guys accountable like we just saw happen with Braxton Jones. You're not good enough. You're going to sit, right? And so one of the things that concerns me, beyond the obvious, which is lack of a pass rush, somehow they've been able to mask that a little bit, but over the course of a season, I think that's going to bite you. Thin at running back, lack of running game, that could still come back and bite you, right? I kind of look at just the strategic approach to the draft, and it still bothers me. Guys, Zacchaeus has one more target than Colston, Loveland, and Cole Kmet combined. Right? Like, so I saw a tweet somewhere that said Colston Loveland may replace Cole Kmet as tight end 1 sooner than most people realize. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and see what you guys think about that. And just, I don't know, man. We need more from a 10th overall pick. And that more can still come, but, like, I need to see more from Colston Loveland.
If I can start on this one, I think, and I was listening to Ben Johnson on the radio the other day, and I think what he mentioned specifically was that they don't plan to address any issues in this year's trade deadline or any type of make major moves or trade draft capital. So is Nick very still, or is he?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, that was awesome. You were very, very
yes,
stoic for a second. I couldn't tell if he was frozen. But I think what my theory on this year was, which was you're going to see what Ben Johnson can throw against the wall and stick. Because I think the approach was that it is going to be a culture changing year. It was kind of my concern of why I wasn't going to be very interested in Bears football this year, is I thought that it was just more of a process of elimination type year and seeing who is going to be here long term based on what Ben Johnson is implementing in this 1 year and where they're going to need to address moving forward. I think they still have a lot more pieces that they would like to shuffle out than keep in on the whole, but the ones that are important that they do want to keep, I think are important. So things like Roma Dunze, things like Caleb, Darnell Wright, you're figuring out, is it going to be a really good right tackle again? You got your interior offensive lineman, your Luther Burden. But I think with Colston Loveland, it just kind of ended up being more of hey, I don't know, Tyler Warren might have just been too obvious and too simple looking back on it. But I think with Ben Johnson, it's just kind of seeing what you can get rid of. And I think Cole Kmet is an obvious and easy one in the offseason this year. I think the way that Ben Johnson was being sold as this like tight end guru coach, where he could scheme up 2 tight ends and just get them both involved and stuff, that is the one part that I do find kind of concerning. But that could also be a lot of what you're talking about, Paul, like being thin at running back, not having that consistent like play action run game or I formation run game. I don't know, but it is concerning. And if he can't get those things figured out, you're going to keep seeing games like this, 27-24, 27-25. And you're not going to get those easy chunk plays if you can't get like your tight end position involved the rest of the year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that one. Considering the fact that Ben Johnson, like you said, is supposed to be this tight end guru, and he's barely targeted his tight ends. The one positive I'm trying to look at here is that it seems like he's done everything in phases. Like this entire offseason was phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, so on and so forth. And I feel like we've seen that every single game. Like last game was the first one that the defensive line really got going. First game that we got to see pressure from Dennis Allen's defense because the linebackers were established in the first game or two, let's say. Then the games 3 and 4 were mainly the secondary. In game 5, now we're seeing the defense. With the offense, the first game we saw Caleb get going first. The offensive line struggled. Second game, we saw the offensive line get going. Third game, we saw the wide receivers really get going, minus Roma Dunze, who's been going all year. And then now against the Commanders, we saw the running game. So hopefully against the Saints, we finally see that tight end room get going. More targets to the least targeted group out of all 3 in the offense when it comes to wide receiver, running back, and tight end. So I want to see Ben Johnson take over a little bit more in that regard. And when it comes down to that Tyler Warren pick, I mean, that's Indianapolis has used him right out of the gate. I mean, I believe one of Daniel Jones' first passes was to Tyler Warren. They were like, we're going to establish this right away and get things going out of the gate. So hopefully we see that next week against the Bears or against the Saints this week against the Saints. But if this continues throughout the rest of the season, then I'm going to start scratching my head that why did we pick Loveland first if he wasn't even going to be part of the plan in his first year?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have glaring needs, right? Glaring needs at defensive end, glaring needs at left tackle, which are super impactful positions and should be addressed high in the draft. So, I just hope those things don't come around and really, truly bite us. And especially if we're better than I thought we were going to be, and those are some of the things that wind up stopping us from actually making any kind of a run. But the arrow is pointing up. 3 wins in a row is huge. You want as many of those to repeat as possible. I mean, you want to sit there and stack wins. And yeah, we have a very favorable schedule looking ahead of us, right? So these are all winnable games. And so, we talk to different people from different shows. Bears Country Podcast is very positive all the time. And I was talking with Shorty, and he mentioned, like, dude, we could win week 4 out of the next 5 games. And he's not wrong. Like, especially with the Ravens, coming off of a bye, Lamar might be an issue, but they're 1-5 right now. they're kind of dead in the water. They're having an off year, right? You have the Bengals without Joe Burrow. You got, Saints, you got the Giants. Like, these are all winnable games here coming up. And so if you continue this, then yes, the good gets better, right? Is that the phase we're in right now?
I was on mute. Sorry. I hope so. I mean, I think that I don't want to walk into this next set of games too confident. I've seen people going, the Bears could be 7-2, which, is very possible. I said it on my TikTok this morning, but you can't. Ben Johnson even said it himself. He's like, we cannot be too confident. We still have to fix these mental errors. We still have to fix a few things that are on the field right now. And he said it today that this Saints team has a lot of savvy veterans. They've picked up some steam over the last couple of weeks. They've looked better than they did at the beginning of the season. So I hope that this should be a win on Sunday. Bears are favorited at the moment. That being said, I don't want the Bears to go, oh yeah, we got this in the bag, because the injury report literally just came out as we were on the show. And Jonah Jackson did not practice today because he's dealing with an ankle injury. DJ Moore out with that hip and groin injury. Cairo Santos didn't practice again today, which I'm okay with. Let him sit. Jake Moody did well. Grady Jarrett's still out. That's our $15 million defensive lineman. And then Noah Sewell, who has made an impact so far this year, out with a concussion right now, which that was a scary hit against the Commanders. So the Bears are missing some key parts. And, Jonah Jackson has been considered the worst lineman for the Bears, and he hasn't even allowed a sack yet this year. So we can't walk into this game overly confident. The Ravens, I feel like, might turn it around. I think the Bengals are a dumpster fire, so that one I feel really confident about. But if the Bears can walk away from the next 4 with 3 wins, one of them being, if any of the games being a loss, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with 3-1 over the next 4. We have to set expectations that this team is not Super Bowl ready yet, but that could change as the season goes on. They still have a lot of progression to make, and we've seen that week in and week out. But we can't walk. Any game's a trap game at this point for Chicago, now that they're 3-2.
Yeah, I'll reference a year you mentioned. We could potentially be 7-2. I'll reference a year where we were 7-3, and Jay Cutler ran down a pick 6 against the Chargers, injured his thumb, and we won 2 games the rest of the year. Wound up 9-7 and missed the playoffs. It's a long season. Dave, what do you think about the schedule coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have very winnable games. They're not as it's the NFL, and I think what I'm this year observing at the NFL is that the highs are not that high and the lows are not that low with any of these teams so far. It's all really, really, good professional football teams. The Buffalo Bills came out and put out 2 stinkers in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens are not what we thought they were, and then the Chiefs are 500. So while the Saints are like staying in every game, I think the only real dumpster fire team right now is somebody like the Jets or maybe even the Browns, and even they're not that bad. So they're winnable games, but like Nick said, I think it might be a little bit of a trap game. I think you might have a team that's kind of feeling itself right now, 2 huge wins, 2 comeback wins, and if they don't kind of understand, and if Ben Johnson's not able to kind of reel them in and let them know that you guys haven't really done anything yet. Like, this is 5 games in a first year of our rebuild, then yeah, it can be a trap game. I would like to ask Nick, like, what, I haven't seen his official predictions and how this changes the outlook. Like, for me, Paulie and I were a little bit more negative and said 6 wins on the season. Like you, I think I've upgraded to about 8 with this, because I think they should go at least 2-2 at worst, maybe even 3-1 out of these next 4. And Nick, did the last 2-3 weeks kind of change your outlook on how this team was going to look this year? Did it change your win total prediction? What was it at the beginning versus now? And how do you feel about the team, like, overall going into next year or towards the end of the season?
Because we have a really rough second half. I had the Bears at 9-8 or 10-7, but in the NFC North, 10-7 might still not make you the playoffs. That's how good this division is. So I still stand at 9-8, 10-7. I think there's going to be some rough patches like we've seen so far this year when they started 0-2. But 9-8, 10-7, we should be ecstatic about, considering we were 5-12 last year. So if we double our wins, that's a big plus in my book. Team's only going to get better. They have another big offseason coming ahead with the cap and the draft capital that they have. So right now I'm still sticking at where I was at. I had the Commanders game being a loss, and that was before the season. Obviously, we didn't play Scary Terry, so that's a big factor in the game. Debo was playing hurt. You could tell that he didn't get too many targets. They were really targeting Zach Ertz in that game. And this upcoming week against the Saints, I mean, there's a lot to prove for that team. They can turn it around here in Chicago, but if they lose 1-6, I mean, that's a really steep hill to climb. But 2-5, you can maybe rattle off 2 of your next 3. You sit at 3-6. That's when you have an opportunity to be like, all right, either if we win our 10th game and we go 4-6, we still have a shot at this thing. So you can't sleep on anyone. The Ravens as well. I look at that Ravens game I still have circled on my calendar, like, all right, they're not doing well, but they also have a Hall of Fame head coach, multiple Super Bowl champion head coach. He knows what to do, and they have a scary good team when healthy. They're just not healthy right now. And if that team gets healthy by the time they play Chicago, that's a whole nother conversation. So 10-7 is where I stay at the moment. As a high, low 9-8. I know it's not much of a difference, but I think this Bears team could do it, and their confidence has them there, but we can't let our foot off the gas pedal right now.
Dave, you want to go or no? You know, it's funny because it's exactly what you're saying. The biggest obstacle we may face may be completely out of our control. Like we're worried about ourselves. We got to get better as a team. But you just pointed out we could double our wins, and we still might miss the playoffs in this division. This division was historically great last year. Everybody was telling me the Lions are going to collapse. I'm like, collapse to what? 10 wins? Like you might get a third worse, and instead of getting fucking 14, 15 wins, you wind up with 10. Like we got to hope that the Vikings made a really bad mistake and, you know, didn't hold on to the quarterback they had, moved on, tried something, and it doesn't work. We got to hope that Jordan Love is very average and that, I don't know, Micah Parsons' back gives out or something. And, like, we got to hope that these other teams don't continue on the path that they've been on, because they are really, really, really good teams, as well as we got to get better. So I don't know if this year is a stepping stone year, I'll take it. Like you said, 9 wins, ecstatic with that. I don't want to repeat that multiple years in a row. However, if it's a stepping year towards playoffs in the future, moving forward, it's understandable. So, but you know, I'll stress it again. The teams that are good, man, they hit on their drafts. And like free agency, whatever, the draft picks, man, those got to come through for you in order for you to have, I don't know, success long-term, in my opinion.
Agreed. I hope and pray that the Bears don't go over the top. Like, so a lot of people are saying that, you know, our picks, like Ryan Poles isn't good at picking. You know, he's a young GM. He's definitely had some misses, but he has had some good hits. Javon Dexter, Tyreek Stevenson, Theo Benedict, undrafted rookie free agent, Tyson Bagent, good backup. We haven't really seen Austin Booker yet, but when he does play, he's electric, and it looks like he's on pace to play this week. Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams. He's building a team through the draft, and then in the later rounds, he's just swinging and missing. It's like a, you know, luck of the draw in regards to him. Championship teams, like he said, are built through the draft. So hopefully we get to see that from this Bears team develop as time goes on. And they actually have a coaching staff now that can develop players. You know, Dan Rochar, Antoine Randall Al Harris, Dennis Allen. You know, a couple of the assistants, along with Ben Johnson, can develop this team. And this is the first year we've had a coaching staff like that. So this is a stepping stone that helps build the team moving forward. And if we make the playoffs, fantastic. I know we're all going to be ecstatic about it, but if they just miss winning more ball games, Bears fans need to be like, yep, that was a good year overall for sure.
I don't know how much more positive I have to say, but I would like to ask like some more maybe negative pressing questions for Nick, just because that's kind of our flavor of like what is there to upgrade or like to see a little bit better.
We're like the version of Hot Ones. We just keep feeding you a little bit more spicier and a little bit more just a little more, huh?
I think Paulie can attest to this. I don't get that excited over Bears victories. Like the Raiders game, I was like, nah, that was cool, I guess, but that was fine, whatever. I thought this win was everything that everybody sold me that the Raiders win was, and I think that's okay. But overall, I mean, I think on offense, I think the progression of Caleb Williams, I think, is right on track. I think this was the game where, and Paulie and I, kind of controversial topic, really just didn't necessarily see Caleb Williams being like bulletproof as a starter this year. We just agreed and acknowledged that maybe this isn't the scheme for him moving forward. And I think Ben Johnson's really just kind of getting in his ear, and the offensive scheme is really, really working. I think it does fit his skill set the more I see him play in it. And I think Ben Johnson is learning how to play with Caleb as much as Caleb is learning how to play with Ben. And part of what when we started the tight end topic, I think that is almost what the feeling out process is does Caleb really enjoy throwing to a tight end type of position like that in those types of scheme, in those types of route combinations? So like, is there a point in investing or putting all these tight end type of packages if Ben Johnson knows like, hey, that's just not his style? So I don't know what that is. That might be something totally different or a separate issue. But with offense, I don't really have too many negative, pessimistic type of takes because I think DeAndre Swift is making chicken salad out of chicken shit. I think Caleb's progression is doing really, really well. And then the only issue I would have is honestly at this point just kind of an embarrassment of riches at receiver that I would just like to see almost at this point narrowed down. I want to see more like specific Luther Burden. Luther Burden only played 15 snaps in the game. Like if DJ Moore is out, I'm totally fine with that because I kind of almost want to see a narrowed down type of situation where they force the ball into some decent players that they know that they want to use in a specific way. And that's a great point by Sam. And that's kind of was my concern last year. Like Caleb really liked Keenan Allen. Whatever Keenan Allen's secret sauce was to make himself feel like a security blanket for Caleb, I think that's good. But I don't know. What are your positives, Nick, and like negatives about seeing what Caleb has done so far in terms of fitting into the scheme? Maybe like, am I right? Am I wrong in some areas? What are your thoughts on that in terms of maybe the overabundance of receivers in the room and just kind of, is this like a figuring it out year? Is Caleb just going to like copy Jared Goff, or is he just his own different animal right now that we just need to figure out?
Well, I mean, like
another year. Is it just another year?
Just another year, baby. The marketing, that's what I tell you. No, I mean, you raise good points. It's what did Keenan Allen bring? I thought Keenan Allen brought that like older brother kind of mentorship to Caleb. And DJ Moore talked about it earlier this year. He was like, I learned so much from Keenan Allen. And now I'm the Keenan Allen of this wide receiver room. I'm the older vet. I'm the one that leads the way. I learned from him. Now I need to apply it. Great. Love that. That's exactly what you need to do. Learning and progressing as we all do. That being said, Dave, great point. We need to find ways to have packages that benefit guys to their strengths. Luther Burden is a downfield guy against the Cowboys. That deep ball that went to him, bam. I mean, that's a touchdown. That worked, and that's what he did at Mizzou. Okay, Colston Loveland loves cross route over the middle. Make it happen with him. Stop throwing it to the sideline. That's not what Colston Loveland does because Colston Loveland's like a giant wide receiver. You give him the ball in open space, he's going to truck over people, but he has the speed in hands. DJ Moore is better on those, I'm going to fight for yards kind of play. I'm going to make sure that guys feel that I'm on this field. I want to see those type of designs. From a tight end perspective, if you look at what Caleb Williams did during college, tight end was not his number one go-to target. So why, like you said, why are we bringing in a top tight end in order to benefit him? Yes, you got a wide receiver that can benefit him in Luther Burden. You have Rome Odunze. Those two are clicking really well so far. I mean, they could have had 5 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns in 5 games. First time in ever in Bears history a wide receiver did that if it wasn't for the officials. But I want to see this Bears team progress in that way. I want to see Ben Johnson start to design that. And I think he's learning this team just as they're much learning his playbook. So that's the situation right there. I'm going to flip it, though, to the other side of the ball where I think there's more learning there. Dennis Allen, this is not his defense. This is not what he designed. He walked into it. We kept literally everyone in the same spot. The only difference we have this year is really Grady, Jared, and Dio, who Grady hasn't been playing. Dio hasn't done a thing, unfortunately. In that first game against Minnesota, I was like, all right, man, maybe he's actually worth that $16.5 million. The guy's not worth jack. He's not getting pressure. He's not stopping the run. He's more of a body out there. And he actually looks smaller than he was last year with Indianapolis. He looks like he slimmed out a little bit. So Dominique Robinson's doing better than him. So I think that the Bears are learning themselves and they need to find ways of working. And now that there's 5 weeks on clip, now they're winning. We're seeing what's working. I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to see that. You're going to see more design packages. And I'm fine with how they're doing it, but teams are going to start figuring that out soon, that they're just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that something sticks. So that's kind of where the Bears are right now. And also you can see last year how bad Shane Waldron or just the play calling as a whole was for Keenan Allen, who's ripping it up right now. And the guy still almost had 800 yards receiving after missing 4 games last year. So Bears need to find a way to just get that connection right there. They have it with Rome. They kind of have it with DJ, but the Bears are just finding ways to win. And that's just what matters right now, and focus on the details more in depth as time goes on, which I feel like they have been doing.
Yeah, it almost felt like with Keenan Allen, all that majority of his production last year came towards the second half of the year. Once Shane Waldron was gone, Caleb just needed a safety blanket. Like who's the guy that I could rely on? And I remember one pass in specific where it was just a run down the sideline where he could just kind of like fakes a curl and then just goes. And the one time against the Vikings, I think, or I forgot against who, but he overthrew him. They repeated that same route later in the year, and second time around, he did not overthrow him. It was a touchdown. So, yeah, you could tell that there was a learning process there. And, Nick, I know you mentioned you got to go at some point here, so we don't want to hold you hostage. Whenever you got to go, just let us know and take off. I did want to just mention one thing real quick, though, as far as things that I've noticed from Caleb. I pointed this out, too. I don't know if you guys saw that quarterback camp with John Gruden and Jackson Dart, where he's just like, hey, kid, give me your cadence. And Jackson Dart's like, he's like, that's it? And he's like, well, sometimes it's. And it's like, dude, they don't teach this stuff in college. And I was kind of freaking out last year putting tape together, even last year in preseason, early on. So I'm like, dude, Caleb's just hike. And it's like putting highlights together all year. I knew exactly when the ball was getting snapped. Just like, okay, wait for the hand clap, and boom, I could start right here with the video because that's when the ball's coming, right? Now, you got motions. Man, you'll snap the ball at the start of the motion. You'll snap the ball when the guy's right before you. You'll snap the ball right when the guy's after you. You'll snap the ball after he goes and gets set. It is random, and I'm having a much harder time clipping things because of that, because it's like, oh, wait, the snap happened. I have to go back because it's about to happen. It's gotten me a couple times, and it's very noticeable from my point of view, all the pre-snap stuff going on with Caleb that was just non-existent last year. And I think credit to the coaching staff in that aspect. So, yeah.
100%.
I got a question for Nick, since he does have to leave. If you had a prediction for, let's say, 1 or 2 more weeks, and if you would be so bold to give us we're trying to do official game predictions this year, like scores, a little bit of like game script, and see how accurate we are. We're pretty good so far in the year, but see if we can kind of keep that momentum going. If you have any thoughts on the Saints game, or kind of like that game script of what you're going to see this Sunday.
Yeah, I think you're going to see them pound the rock a lot more against this Saints team. They do have a decent defensive line. That's what they got going for them. But the Bears are still going to pound the rock. If it's hot, keep going with it. And it is hot right now. But I think you're going to see the tight end finally against New Orleans. I think week 7 was the week Ben Johnson probably had circled somewhere in Hallis Hall saying, yup, that's the phase of let's get Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland going. Those guys are hungry. They want to make it happen. And last time Cole Kmet played at Soldier Field, they got a touchdown from him. So I think that you're going to see a lot more over the middle passes. I think that's going to be more in there. I think also from this Bears game, you're going to see a lot more pressure from Dennis Allen, because Dennis Allen's going against his former team. It's his own revenge game. And he wants to be like, yep, I want to pound the table. I want to go at these guys. I want to make it happen. So in this one, I have the Bears winning 24-10. I think that the Bears defense is going to stay hot. I think that the Bears defense is going to make it difficult against a rookie quarterback down in New Orleans. So I got 24-10 in this one. And over the next 4 games, I mentioned it earlier, but I think 3-1. I think they are going to lose to the Ravens. Bears have a lot of road games coming up. I was kind of shocked because they play at home and then the next 2 games are on the road. So I was kind of scratching my head whoever designed the schedule because they just played 2 games on the road, both in different time zones. And yeah, they had the bye week, but still. So I think that the Bears are going to go 3-1 over the next couple. They'll be 6-3 after 9 games. And then that's going to be it's going to be around the trade deadline. Do they make a move? Do they go out and make something happen in order to put them over the top? Because sitting at 6-3, you got 8 games left. If you win half of those, if you go 500 in the last 8, all right, you have a shot at the playoffs. But with the NFC North, you're probably going to need 5. You're going to have to win 11 games. So that's kind of where I stand on it. But I'm feeling optimistically confident in this one, but not like, oh yeah, we got it in the bag. Like I'm feeling like it could be a really good game. But if it's 25-24 Bears again, 3 weeks in a row, I wouldn't be mad about it either.
And it's a don't fuck it up game. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Sam, you can say ass. It's okay, Sam. You can type ASS. It's fine. We'll read it out. Yeah, Nick, thank you so much for joining us, man. Just Another Year Chicago on YouTube, at Chicago Nick on Twitter, correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Content all the time. You're always on. You're always talking Bears. Love everything you do, man. So appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us again this year. Yeah, man, I'll be paying attention to your stuff. Bear down, and hopefully you'll have availability to join us in the future moving forward as well, because you know, dude, you're a fan favorite out there. And like I said, I know you're big time now. I don't know if you could squeeze me in between Kyle Long and, you know, I'm kidding, but no, we really appreciate you. So yeah, any closing thoughts, any content you want to plug, feel free, man.
No, appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a ton of fun. Hope to see more Bears positivity throughout the season. I think that's just one thing fans need to do is be positive, is that this team does look at Instagram. They do look at Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. They know what's going on in the world. I mean, Caleb Williams called out Troy Aikman today, which I thought was great. At the end of the day, this Bears team is better than they were last year. We can't lose hope. There's going to be road bumps, but just bear down, baby. I mean, the city's electric right now. Just bear down. That's all I got to say.
You think George is sitting in his office going, I wish Mom was here to see this. No.
Ma's watching. She's on the jersey every game. Same with Mago, you know,
yeah.
like they're there.
Summer of George, it's paying off. It's paying off.
Yeah, just George, don't throw me out of House Hall again, all right?
Thank you, Nick. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bear down.
Yeah, bear down. Yeah, man. Nick's a great guest. Really enjoy having him on, and yeah, he, like I said, he's good stuff. But David, you know, man, we're at an interesting point because, dude, according to my preseason prediction, I had him at 3-2. Not in this fashion. I didn't have him winning 3 wins in a row, right? I had 1 win, 2 losses, and then 2 wins in a row. But yeah, that 3 wins in a row really kind of sparks that motivation train and opens up some opportunities that, you know, don't exist if you just kind of bounce around between couple wins, couple losses, this and that. So I can't stress how important it is to just stack wins and keep stacking wins. Man, you get another one on top of this and you do 4 in a row. Now you got these players buying in, you got the locker room feeling good, and you fucking Poles can put on his chef hat and start cooking again, right? So
yeah, man. I mean, I think part of it is like the confidence for the players to kind of just keep going. And I think that's part of the reason why this win was like huge. It was everything to me that the Raiders win was being sold to us as, right? It's the one that gets you like, you come into work after that and you're just like, dude, let's keep this going. Let's fuck some shit up. Let's have a great practice. And I think that irrational confidence is something that young teams especially can kind of coast on for a little bit. The energy and the enthusiasm is going to take them a lot further than, you know, just pure talent. They're not at the point where they know when they're fucking up yet. They're just kind of like, you know, young and dumb and being happy and excited. And so like, I think that enthusiasm, it rarely, I don't know if it necessarily rarely backfires, but I think right now it's a positive much more than it is a negative. I don't think they're going to fall into trap games because I think they're too too dumb to know it, right? Like they're just happy. They're just coasting. They're kind of rolling. And so I think like if we want to do game predictions, I think I don't necessarily have it being a dominant win, but I do think a lot of the things that we saw go well in the last like 2 weeks keep going well. I don't see a huge backslide going into New Orleans or like being in Chicago, having New Orleans come here. I don't think it's like a huge backslide. I think so far, I'm going to say it's going to be the best Caleb game. I think what Nick's prediction was pounding the ball down their throats. I think that is the game plan, but I think New Orleans is a little bit wise to that. I think they're going to say, hey, like they came out of the bye week with these plans of running. Let's shut down the run and see what Caleb's got and actually make him prove it. And I think this might be the week where Caleb kind of just goes like, I'm starting to understand this now. I think we're going to see probably the best game so far of Caleb's career. What does that mean necessarily? I don't know. Stat wise, I would say like pushing or about to break 300 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns. And I got him winning like 27-17. I think it's going to be closer than most people think, but I do have it like about 27-17. And I think this is also a team with the New Orleans Saints where, dude, they're ready to quit. They're so ready to get their backs broken right now. And I think that like it's all trade baity Twitter accounts that, have inside scoops and all that bullshit. But you're seeing scoops about Chris Olave being on the trade block, Alvin Kamara being on the trade block, Cameron Jordan being on the trade block. Like that, this is going to be 1-6, and they're going to like just sell the team for spare parts. I think that's just kind of where we're headed with New Orleans. I don't think you're going to get some sort of, hey, let's rally around the coach and beat the Bears performance in a 1-6 team. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this week.
It's hilarious. And I want to let people know, like, we do talk outside of the show, like, but we don't do like our official game predictions. What do you think? We don't plan it out. Preseason, I had this as a loss because I was looking at it like, the Saints are bad, but they're not that bad. And they still have fight in them. And I think you saw that kind of when they faced the Bills this year. Like they still had something, but at the point they're at now, I cannot feel good about predicting the Bears losing. I think this is where my preseason prediction goes awry a little bit, and we actually wind up with a win. And Dave, I had 27-13. Same thing, 3 touchdowns from Caleb, about 300 yards. When you say his best game, I like how you followed up with what does that mean statistically? Because we've seen 4 touchdown games from him, right? It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be Carl taking my words and being like, oh, repeat the stat line, No. Control, confidence, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. Just, not letting the game slip away from you at all. Eye test, check mark. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're going to see. And that's what I expect.
I think if there is a loss here, it's a trap game, like we said, right? Like, I mean, you can predict a trap game all you want. And the same way, like, we get called out for, well, if you predict low wins and they win more, you get to just say you're being realistic. Like, yeah, but if you're predicting 12 and it's a 5-win team, then you can't say that like you knew everybody on this team was going to be great and now they suck. So it's the same thing. Not really the point. When we say complete game from Caleb, what I mean is I think they jump out to like a 13-0 lead, like by the middle of the second quarter. It's like 13-0, 17-0 at halftime, 17-3 at halftime, and it's just a comfortable coast of control. And so when I say like, I think we're on the same page here. We don't talk about this ahead of time, but what I think we're going to see of the best job of like Caleb's career, it's going to be a little bit easy mode for him. He's not going to get flustered anymore. He's got a little bit of that, the offense under his belt. I think the game plan is going to be really, really strong against the Saints. I do agree. That's so funny that Nick said, the tight ends are going to get unlocked. I picked up and already did all these, fantasy and, money line bets about Colston Loveland having the overs and the yardage. I do see that too. I think you're going to see a lot of complementary football on specifically the offense where, like we said, if they're not going to be able to run the ball, I don't think it's necessarily a negative. I think they're going to use the run as a setup for a pass. I think You're going to assume there's going to be a run game. You had one really, really good running game against Washington. This team sucked at running the ball so far this year. Don't be fooled. But if you are game planning and you're New Orleans and you're saying like, what worked for them last week? Oh, maybe they're going to have a good, strong running attack. Even if they don't, I could easily see them just using the running game as kind of a distraction and just letting Caleb hit these 20-yard, 30-yard dinks and dunks. Not necessarily, we're not going to see 60-yard bombs to Luther Burden, but I think you're going to see like chunks. I think you're going to see a high completion percentage above 80%. I think you're going to see really realistic numbers, really smart football from Caleb, like good percentages, no turnovers. Yeah, I just think it's going to be the complete game of football for Caleb. If we're wrong, we're wrong. I just don't want to see what the worst case scenario. I'd almost be okay with Caleb taking shots and throwing like 2 picks and just having a bad game, a step back game. What I don't want to see is another like conservative Caleb game of 175 yards.
4 or 5 sacks.
4 or 5 sacks, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 60% completion. That's the type of regression I can't wrap my head around, and I don't want to see that. I'd rather see an absolute catastrophic CJ Stroud performance rather than going back to that mid-level Caleb bullshit.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. And, I kind of want to bring this up before we end the show, because when DJ Moore signed his contract, David, right, our initial thoughts, I remember it was a conversation on the phone. We're like, awesome. He's not holding the team captive financially. It's a very favorable financial contract. And he's a perfect trade candidate in 2-3 years. If the situation gears itself that way. And today we're sitting here on the show going, well, we could shrink this wide receiver, right? So the situation has played out to where, hey, DJ Moore, hey, Cole Kmet, like maybe these are trading block pieces. David, Sam brought this up. How bad do the Bills need a wide receiver? Send them DJ for a 2, and a 2 would be fantastic.
I'm pretty sure we said this on the show 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, no, right. So it's been in our head since DJ signed the contract, is what I'm saying. Like to us, it's situations dictate themselves, right? So 2 questions. 1, what is his trade value? What would you get for DJ Moore? 2, is it realistic to move on from DJ Moore?
A second, I think, is way too high. Just the Chris Olave. I think pound for pound, Chris Olave is probably a better wide receiver than DJ Moore. Maybe not now after 3 or 4 concussions, I think skill wise, but like they're comparable. And I see these Chris Olave trades going for like 4s, 3s. So I think like a high third from a bad team. You can't get a 3 from Buffalo. That's essentially a 4. So a second from Buffalo actually isn't that bad, because that is basically a 3rd round pick. They're going to be a bottom 5, in the rounds. So I don't think that that's a crazy thing. A 2 would be nice. I think it feels a little high. I would be surprised to see that, go across my phone. But like a 3 and a 4, I wouldn't be shocked by. A 3 and a 5, I wouldn't be shocked by. Kind of 2 picks. Is it realistic to trade him? No, I don't think so. I don't think you trade him this year. I think if his stock is low as it is anyway, and if it's a 3 and a 5, you're probably just hanging on to him. Even if he's not hurt, which he is now, that's kind of why, you do draft a guy like Luther Burden, I guess. Like you see, can he become DJ Moore's replacement? And then you trade him in the offseason, with that. And then let's say DJ Moore comes back in 2 or 3 weeks, and then Luther Burden gets hurt. Rome could get hurt. You got to kind of give Caleb as many tools as possible in a developmental year this year. So I just don't think it's realistic and or smart to take playmakers away from Caleb at this point. I think since all of the development rides on Caleb's shoulders and how good this team is going to be in the next year or 2, just you got to eat that. Like you just don't take that 3rd round pick. If the choice is sacrifice a little bit of Caleb's development this year, but you get a 3rd round pick next year, give me the development now. Like I would trade a 3rd round pick to guarantee like a 4,000 yard season from Caleb and show that development. So I don't think it's realistic or smart. However, depending on where you come out of these next 4 games, I wouldn't mind getting an Alvin Kamara or a Cameron Jordan for a 6th round pick. So that's a whole different story, but depends on how much the Saints are dumpster firing.
Definitely. So, all right, man. Cool. I don't know if you have any other closing thoughts, anything else you wanted to address, any questions, anything like that. I'm definitely looking forward to this game, man. Yeah, no, Sam, you're right. And that's why I think what David said is really accurate. I think next year is more likely. You don't sell when the stock is low. You're right, David. You don't sell when the guy's hurt. I look at what the Chiefs did, man. They drafted Tyreek Hill in the 5th round. After they won Super Bowls with him, they traded him away for 2 first-round picks, right? After they won Super Bowls with him. After Patrick Mahomes is good. Yeah, now he's expendable. Now you can get rid of him. Your quarterback should be able to make your wide receivers. However, developmental stage is developmental stage. You got to get to that point first, and any help you can get along the way is crucial. So, nah, dude, you hit that right on the head for sure. So, yeah, David, anything else, man?
No, man. I mean, team-wise, I think we covered everything. I love the coaching staff, and I'm just following the rest of the NFL really, really closely right now because Mike Vrabel is on a tear. I think the Patriots look insane. You know, we said we were going to compare them all year, and thank God they won, because I don't know how I could have handled Drake May entering the MVP chat 4-2, leading the league in like yards per play, 1,500 yards on the season. I don't know how I would have been able to handle that, but between them and who was the other team we were going to say we were comparing to?
Dude, you brought it up. The Jaguars, the Colts,
Yeah.
the Patriots, all new coaches. Jaguars are what, 5-1? Colts are 5-1. Patriots are 4-2. Like, yeah. No, you need to keep up. You need to keep up.
And
sure.
My confidence level in Ben Johnson's growing every day. I think we said at the beginning of the season that was where our confidence was the highest on anyone in this team, and just from the preseason. And you brought this up when you said like we timed that out perfect. That timeout with 3 seconds left, making sure there's nothing on the clock. There was never a moment where I felt like, oh my God, how are they going to fuck this up? How are they going to fuck this up? How are they going to fuck this up? Never got that feeling. The stage does not seem too big for Ben Johnson. It feels like he's been here before. So far, so good, man. I hope things start clicking for him a little bit more. I want him to show off why he's this fucking smart. This is, for me, please, Bears, like it is really a don't fuck it up game. Like going to New Orleans, it's a noon game. Set my Sunday up for the rest of the day with joy. You know, just dominate by 3 o'clock, and I can just like have a burger at 6 o'clock and just watch highlights all night. So just don't fuck it up.
Watch Bearskifilm highlights all night, because those should be available by 7 p.m. if I'm on my shit. So I try and get those out as fast as I can. During the game, I've been trying to make defensive big play shorts and everything like that. So everybody out there, I hope you're enjoying the content. Yeah, man, it's tough when things aren't going good, but the arrow is pointing up here. And, you know, this is us turning the page a little bit. And like, I know Shorty was yelling at me, when will you guys be positive? And I was like, well, how about we fucking compete in the playoffs first, huh? Like, how about I don't like to put the cart in front of the horse too often. And there's been so many examples of things falling apart. I referenced one earlier. We were 7-3. We missed the playoffs. Like, fuck, man. I need to see it. This is going in the right direction. I'm happy. Much better than the alternate, right? Like, good. Awesome. We're not about to open up next week with a new intro with like a rainbow and a unicorn, like Bearskifilm. I'll AI Caleb holding a fucking Super Bowl trophy or 8 of them or something. He'll have 8 hands because it's AI. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're still going to take it 1 week at a time, right? Dude, Jay, I think, is a little positive too. Or Nick from Just Another Year, 3-1 would be amazing. 2-2. Give me 2-2 over the next 4, man. Let's do it. Like, let's keep competing. You're right.
The Giants scare me a little bit right now.
Yeah. No, right. But like, if you win the Saints, if you win the Bengals, but you lose to the Ravens, you lose to the Giants, you're still fine. You're still fine. So yeah, I hear you, man.
We said this. Yes. I think yesterday. You gotta right now. If you don't want to be a bad team, you gotta beat up on the other bad teams. Like, beat up on the bad teams right now, please.
And I think what we might have just seen is us finally coming out of that shell of being a bad team. We may no longer be a bad team, but what needs to happen? Good needs to get better. Better get best. Yep, you know it. Thank you guys so much for participating in the chat. Thank you to our guest, Nick, from Just Another Year. Bear down, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Ready, set. Good protection. Lines it up for DJ Moore to the end zone. Touchdown! Take the shotgun snap. Late pressure fired. Prairies are